Hello and welcome to our CNBC TV18 monthly special. Yes, we're back with the Boston Analytics CNBC TV18 Consumer Confidence Show, and I'm Anit Shah. Now, it's interesting this time. The month of February is what we're tracking because after a blowout performance in January, the Consumer Confidence Index has registered just a marginal increase last month of about 0.2%, with the headline index heading to 72.6 from 72.5, which was clocked in January. It's still a stabilization, and this has primarily been driven by an improvement in sentiment in terms of the surrounding employment situation and a basic consensus in terms of an improved sentiment when it comes to the inflation front. So it seems to be a stabilization. We're happy with that for the moment because we did get that huge bounce in January, and no nasty surprises like we've seen in the month of December is something that we will take within our stride. But of course, let's get right to it and discuss all the findings from this index. We're of course joined by Boston Analytics' Shirin Bagga. She's an economist at Boston Analytics, and Venugopal Doot, of course, the CMD of the Videocon Group, also joins us to add some perspective. But let's discuss the findings first. So Shirin, since you have done the entire study, your team has been pretty much on the ground. What are the readings this time? Not quite the 7% like we saw last time, but still relatively a flattish sort of an uptick, not a decline at least.
Consumer confidence has registered a very small increase in February, which has been driven primarily by relative improvement in pessimism, which is from very low levels related to the inflation and employment components of the index. And an increase in sentiment related to consumer spending has also contributed to an uptake in the national composite. If you look at the past couple of months, the composite has seemed to flatten out, which is sort of indicating that either the consumers are not foreseeing a drastic shift or remain uncertain about the general state of the economy and their personal financial conditions. However, what's interesting is that the bottoming process is underway. With the union budget that was released last month, the Honorable Finance Minister spoke about supporting growth. The roadmap for fiscal deficit reduction was clearly laid out. So in that respect, I think that should have some impact on consumer confidence related to the general state of the macroeconomy in the coming months.
Now, Shirin, tell me about the current situations and the future expectations index, because the latter has seen an uptick this time. That's interesting because the past few times, the current situations index was the one that was slightly more optimistic than this future expectations index. So how come right now you've seen a bit of an uptick in the latter?
Future expectations confidence index has increased in February 2010. Current situations has gone down. The future expectations, however, continues to remain below the current situation confidence index, again indicating, like I said, there is a little bit of uncertainty how the economy is going to shape up in the months to come. So at this time, I think the reading, the fact that the expectations index is below the current situation index is kind of reflecting the mindset, which is more towards the wait and watch kind of a thing that the Indian consumer is feeling at the moment.
Of course, let's get Mr. Doot in at this point in time. Thanks for joining us firstly. But Mr. Doot, of course, the numbers pretty much on the wall. You're seeing getting reflected in the IIP numbers every time. Forgetting about the base effect, 43% is still a pretty spectacular number for the consumer durable space. You're spread across this entire space when it comes to home appliances. What are you seeing in terms of demand on the ground at this point in time?
Yeah, consumer durable, there is a huge demand, and December IIP number showed that the growth is around 46.4%. So confidence about consumer durable is good. But one thing is that because of the inflation going very high, people are now in last 1 month not spending that much. So something has to happen on the inflation side. Then this confidence level will be maintained. Once this inflation is reduced, which Pranab Mukherjee has also said that inflation will be reduced in 3-4 months' time, at that time you will see that consumer confidence will again go up to December-January level. But for some time, I think it is flat, maybe going down a little lower. Let us see what happens.
Shirin, wanted to talk about the point on inflation because that's a very important parameter. Last few months, of course, consumers were pretty pessimistic on the entire inflation scenario. But now, are you finding that this time the study seems to be throwing up that maybe they're coming to terms with a possible higher pace of inflation over the next couple of months?
If I were to put it in layman's language, it says that the Indian consumer is encouraged to see that the government is taking steps to contain inflation. If you look at the announcements that have been made by the government in the recent past, a lot of anti-inflationary measures such as extending the zero duty on sugar till the end of fiscal 2010, allowing import of other commodities such as wheat, edible oils, butter, ghee at lower duties, and lifting banning exports on non-basmati rice, etc. And also the slight increase in the SLR and the CRR with the intent of mopping up excess liquidity. So all this is going to prevent inflation, especially food inflation, from spreading into more generalized inflation. So definitely inflation sentiment has improved, and we've seen an improvement in inflation sentiment across tiers. So in general, a positive trend.
Mr. Dhoot, now on the seasonal impact, because you've got the stimulus rollback post the budget right now. We're done with festive season. Are we in for a couple of months of a bit of a slowdown when it comes to consumer appliances purchases, just primarily a seasonal effect?
Yeah, it was in January and February, but you will see in March what will happen, that color television will go up like anything because of the IPL. And secondly, at the same time, washing machine, refrigerator, air condition, because of the summer season, air condition and refrigerator especially will have a large demand. So I don't think that it will have a slowdown, but consumer may have a confidence or not. They will go and buy for next 3 months to come. About the confidence, I should say the consumer is not having that confidence. Again, I repeat, November, December, Diwali time confidence was there. Still, these products are becoming essential, and essential product has to be purchased whether by out of income or by loan. So that's the way it's happening.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on the demographic perspective, Mr. Dhoot? Because it's interesting. I believe rural has been rock solid for you in terms of a demand, and even shed some light on how Tier 2, Tier 3, and of course your primary metros are doing in terms of demand.
Well, first we talk about metros. The demand remains flat. Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, demand is slightly up. But in rural areas, you see demand is very going up, because I think the government has spent last year around 2 lakh crore on them by way of subsidy or by way of some infrastructure work, etc. So this money has gone in their hand, and now they are feeling the confidence that this year also they will be getting money, and this all money they want to spend. So in rural is developing, and rural India is confidence is going up, and they are buying the consumer durables.
Final word then, Mr. Dhoot. If you could give us a quantifiable growth figure in terms of what a stable set of consumer durable growth targets may be for the ensuing months and quarters.
Yeah, December to January demand was very high. Say, IIP number showed, I again repeat, December was 46.4%. But may not be 46.4%, but near to the 35% growth will be there in consumer durable in time to come, especially because of the rural growth, rural demand, and rural people are having money.
Shirin, Mr. Dhoot, thanks as always for joining us with your perspective. We will slip into a very short break on that note. On the other side, it's pretty interesting. Two important internals is what we'll scratch upon. One is the entire real estate sentiment. Now remember, the past few consumer confidence index readings threw up positive readings for possible purchase in terms of autos, consumer durables. This time, real estate has taken the cake. We'll share some numbers with you on the other side, and we'll even talk to Pujit Agarwal. He's the MD of Orbit Corp, has a pulse on the entire Mumbai real estate market and how he's seeing demand panning out, because as per our readings, consumers seem to be in the mood to buy.